things just took a major turn in many different position battles across this Rams team after preseason game 2 earlier today. I have a full breakdown of that game as well as some key developments in position battles, all that and more on this episode of Rams Digest. And welcome back to another episode of Rams Digest. I'm your host, Joshua Finehirsh. And before we get into today's video, make sure to hit that subscribe button as we are on the road to 5,000 subscribers. And if you want to be a part of that journey, make sure to hit the subscribe button right now and click the notification bell. Click all so you get notified and do not miss whenever we upload our daily new Rams Digest videos covering all things Rams. And make sure to like this video for this preseason game being in the books, and now preseason game 3 on the way versus the Browns next week in Cleveland. But before we get into it, the Rams did come away with the win 23-22. So like this video right now for the Rams being undefeated in the 2025, I should say, preseason here so far. And now to our main story of today, some key takeaways from this game from therams.com as we will head into that right now. Quarterback Stetson Bennett IV threw the game-winning touchdown pass to wide receiver True Edwards with 5 seconds left, and outside linebacker Brennan Jackson chipped in 2 first-half sacks to lead the Rams to a thrilling 23-22 win over the Chargers tonight at SoFi Stadium. Yeah, that was such an electric ending. I thought they were done. Bennett fumbled at the end, but nope, it was not a 4th down, as we will get into later on here in this video. But what an ending to this game if you watch it. If you haven't watched it, I'm not going to spoil it fully for you just yet, so hopefully you can go back and watch at least the highlight for the end of this game at some point. And one of the key takeaways here, we have 5, is that Bennett delivers in the clutch, continues to look comfortable and confident. He completed 28 of 40 pass attempts for 324 yards and 3 touchdowns against one interception Saturday night against the Chargers. His best throw of the day was on his second touchdown pass, a 38-yard laser to wide receiver Mario Williams at the end of the third quarter. Bennett also rebounded from an interception thrown to Chargers defensive tackle T-Raw Edwards to lead the Rams on the game-winning drive at the end of the fourth quarter. Through the Rams' first 2 preseason games, Bennett has completed 44 of 64 passes for 512 yards, 5 touchdowns against 2 interceptions. Yeah, this is another good stat line for Bennett. That interception was an awful pass. I just have to say it was not a great pass whatsoever, but Stetson Bennett looked confident out there. He did have that interception, but besides that, he looked confident. He was slinging it down the field a little bit too. There were multiple plays where he was slinging it down the field for this Rams offense, and he looked pretty comfortable doing it. Again, obviously, Aubrey Pleasant and Nate Schliehouse really did a good job calling plays for this Rams team, and Chris Shula obviously on the defensive side, while Sean McVay was just up there chilling in the booth. If you watch the game, he was literally up there in the booth chilling. He had his feet up, I believe, in one of the clips, just taking a little bit of a day off, but it is okay. He's letting his coaches do what they want to do, and they did a good job executing this game plan. And Stetson Bennett looked awesome. He looked comfortable. Looked like he really knew this offense, and I do believe he locked up a roster spot for sure with this performance. Comment that down below whether or not you agree. Outside linebacker Brennan Jackson shines with 2 sacks in the first half, one of which was against Justin Herbert in the Chargers' first team. More on that below. He also added 2 total tackles for loss in Saturday's game. Yes, Brennan Jackson was awesome in that first half, competing with Nick Hampton, Kyren Thomas for that outside linebacker spot. Not so much with Dolak and Reeder and Chris Paul. Those are different positions, but for that outside linebacker spot, you got Brennan Jackson, Nick Hampton, and Kyren Thomas, as well as Josiah Stewart, although Josiah Stewart I think is already on this roster. Didn't really play at all here in this one, but Brennan Jackson looked awesome. A guy who's been with the Rams for a couple years now. He's kind of been outshined by Kyren Thomas so far. Both Nick Hampton and Brennan Jackson have, and Brennan Jackson put himself back on the radar, leaving Nick Hampton as the odd man out right now. And reserves get some run versus the Chargers' first team offense and defense. They were missing Khalil Mack and Derwin James. I know I mentioned that in yesterday's video that there's a shot they would play. They ended up not playing in this game. So Stetson Bennett did not get to see those 2 guys on the defensive side for the Chargers. The Chargers were planning to play the majority of their starters in this game. I think there's a typo there in this article, so my apologies. And did so for 1 series. For the Rams defense, it held the Justin Herbert-led offense to a field goal in the opening drive. For the Rams offense, it manufactured a 9-play, 60-yard scoring drive, completed by a 2-yard touchdown pass from Bennett to wide receiver Kenona Muntfield for an early 7-3 lead. Yes, the Chargers did not play their starters for as much as they thought, but I think it was due to the injury of Quentin Johnston, their third-year wide receiver, early on in this game took a big hit on trying to catch a downfield pass. It was a bit of a short pass from Herbert, but the defender tried to slow up, couldn't, ended up hitting Quentin Johnston in the head area, and Quentin Johnston unfortunately landed on his head, so a bit of a scary sight there. Luckily, he was able to stand up on his own. They carted him off, and Harbaugh said he was at the hospital with a concussion just for precautionary reasons at the hospital. So this is not, from what it seems like, a serious career-altering injury. Concussions can be, but it does look like Quentin Johnston will at least be playing at some point this season. That was definitely a bit of a scary injury to watch. So the Chargers, if they didn't get to the game plan for playing most of their starters for the majority of this game, that is okay. Obviously, they played a majority of them for that one series, and obviously with an injury like that, you want to rather play it safe than sorry. So I definitely think that was the right decision to remove your starters after that. And luckily for Quentin Johnston, he was able to get up, walk to the cart, and he did not need to be carted off in a stretcher or even worse in an ambulance. So definitely a positive sight to see from such a big hit that he was able to walk off for a little bit under his own power there. And like this video right now for Quentin Johnston's injury recovery, because those are definitely scary hits, scary injuries. That reminds everyone that football is a dangerous sport. So definitely got to have a lot of respect for these players putting it all out there on the line. And now Sean Dolak does wear the green dot. We'll see if this trend continues into next week, but for the second straight preseason game, the Rams had a rookie inside linebacker manning the role of an on-field defensive signal caller as the primary communicator between the play caller for this game's defensive coordinator Chris Shula and the rest of the defense. Dolak led the defense for the first half before being subbed out for the second half again. Dolak, 7 tackles today. He didn't look as stout, in my opinion, stopping the run. Again, there was also a punt return touchdown that he was on the field for, but again, that was not fully on him. That's a whole team issue if a punt return touchdown happens, but Dolak was not as stout as he was in the first game, in my opinion. He wasn't bad, but I do think this game, the Chargers, they came more prepared than the Cowboys did for sure. Obviously, Harbaugh having the coaching advantage over Schottenheimer there, but still, Dolak definitely wearing this green dot. It's interesting. Again, Chris Paul Jr. had a minor injury. He did end up coming back in to the game, but definitely interesting to see Dolak wearing the green dot. I think it's to see if he can make it in over Reader, because if he's wearing the green dot and playing really well, I think that adds more value than Troy Reader. So I do believe for Dolak trying to beat out Reader for that inside linebacker spot, I do think it will all come down to the final preseason game. So leave in the comments down below where you stand on this position battle right now. And the Rams continue to evaluate the running backs behind Kyren Williams, and Hunter sees majority of the carries. Head coach Sean McVay mentioned wanting to evaluate the running backs behind Kyren Williams in a live game setting, which is why they gave Blake Corum and Jarquez Hunter about 10 touches each last week against the Cowboys. So it wasn't a surprise to see Corum and Hunter out there again versus the Chargers. Corum finished with 4 carries for 22 yards. Hunter a team-high 15 carries for 55 yards. Hunter consistently gained yards after contact and was difficult for Charger defenders to bring down. Cody Schrader also had 13 carries for 48 yards with some tough running of his own too. Yeah, I think Blake Corum's not going to play next week, is my guess. I think that he's entrenched as the backup based on the carries share he had today. He didn't really play too much past the opening parts of the first quarter there, but Jarquez Hunter, man, his horse Danger, leave a like right now for Danger as well. That was cool to see. He's got a horse named Danger, and we need the Jarquez Hunter versus a Nikola Jokic horse race as well. So like this video for that to potentially happen. That is not confirmed to happen yet, but it would be cool to see as a fan. But definitely Jarquez Hunter, he's got that danger when he runs. He doesn't go down easy. I really am a big fan of Jarquez Hunter's game. He's got elite feel for the game, and definitely a player who I think can make an impact as a rookie. I know on the broadcast, MJD and JB Long were talking about just how difficult it is for these rookie running backs to break in with McVay, because Corum needed to work on his blocking. But I think Jarquez Hunter, if he's running like this, he'll get some snaps. And Cody Schrader has a shot to make this roster with the Ronnie Rivers injury that we talked about in last video with his rib injury. And so he's definitely trying to fight his way on for being that fourth running back, special teams guy as well. So I definitely think Schrader's got some game to him. He impressed me today. I know last week I didn't mention him because it was kind of against the nobodies on the Cowboys. No disrespect to any players in that game, but those were players who aren't necessarily making an impact for you in the regular season, whereas Schrader faced some better competition today and still played well. So I think that matters a lot more. And now moving on to why things just got very interesting. It took a major turn here. We have some position battles heating up after the results of this game. This is from Rams Wire, getting into that story right now. The Los Angeles Rams and Chargers continued their fight for LA on Saturday at SoFi Stadium, squaring off in Week 2 of the preseason. The Chargers came in as arguably the best team in the preseason, going 2-0 in their first 2 games with convincing wins in each. They played some of their starters for a series in this one, unlike Sean McVay and the Rams, but Stetson Bennett still took care of business yet again. The Rams' third-string, third-year quarterback was excellent from start to finish, only making one mistake in this game. Yes, I totally agree. We already kind of talked about how Stetson Bennett played, so we're going to move on here. He led the Rams to a thrilling comeback win over the Chargers thanks to a game-winning touchdown pass to True Edwards with 5 seconds left, which came after hitting Brennan Presley with a 40-yard prayer down the field on 4th and 10. It was as dramatic a preseason game as you'll see, finishing with a final score of 23-22. Yeah, definitely quite the dramatic game there as we get into some more stars of the game. And some numbers to know real quick, 458. The Rams put up 458 yards of total offense, outgaining the Chargers significantly. 324, Stetson Bennett threw for 324 yards, more than the 291 yards of total offense the Chargers had as a team. Yeah, although Trey Lance was making some nice deep passes, he was really connecting with Trey Harris on some of those deep balls, by the way. Trey Lance looking pretty good throughout this preseason there for the Chargers, but for the Rams, this is definitely great. 458 yards of total offense. That's what you would expect from a good day from your starters in a regular season game. I mean, that's an amazing game. If you have a fantasy defense that week, I'm sorry for you. You probably got negative points, but that's a great game for an offense. And Bennett throwing for 300 yards, outgaining the Chargers in total was awesome. And 26 first downs in this win. 10 more than the Chargers. Again, the Chargers with that pick 6, only really reason why this game was really close there at the end, but well, not that pick 6, sorry, the punt return and the interception really helped the Chargers win this game. But for the Rams, this is a great offensive showing, especially after it was reported that the offense was not great throughout the joint practice with the Saints, which is definitely something to keep an eye on. Garoppolo not looking the best in that practice, but I see some of you in the comments saying Garoppolo should have played today, and I kind of agree based on some of the highlights I saw in practice. Stetson Bennett's looked pretty good this preseason. I don't think he's a better option to start. I know someone else said that in the comments, but I do think he's definitely a very, very capable quarterback here at this NFL level. And the Rams only allowed 1 sack and 1 tackle for loss the entire game. That's just great work by the O-line in general. Leave a like for the O-line. It got McClendon, Arcuri was putting in work. Willie Lampkin, although Lampkin actually did leave this game with an injury. Before I filmed this, was looking for an update and did not find one, so hopefully in tomorrow's video we can get you an update on Willie Lampkin. Like this video, though, for Willie Lampkin. You had Justin Dedich playing really well. Bo Limern and Lampkin playing guard and center. Everyone on that O-line, McClendon, Quesenberry, everybody was just blocking so well throughout this entire game. It's going to be tough to see if Lampkin does get on this team, mainly as a pure center, because at guard he was kind of getting beat. But at center, MJD made a point that his height and weight aren't really as big of a factor at center. So with him really kind of being limited to playing center, and the Rams already having 2 capable centers, I do see it being an uphill climb for him to be on the active roster. But practice squad, I could definitely see. And it was over when Bennett hit Edwards with the game-winning touchdown pass with 5 seconds left. That sealed the deal for the Rams, completing the dramatic comeback victory. And stars of the game, you got Stetson Bennett, obviously Brennan Presley, and Xavier Smith. And one of the reasons why this just took a major turn is because Xavier Smith has had really good games in both of these preseason games. He's a guy who's been on this team. He was on the team last year as a returner, but you're seeing him run these routes, getting these contested catches. He's kind of been better than Mumpfield has been in this regular season, and I think there's a shot that he's past Mumpfield on the depth chart heading into the regular season. Leave a comment down below if you agree that Mumpfield may not be a lock to make this team, with Brennan Presley as well having 2 really solid games here in this preseason. He could be a practice squad guy. Britton Covey hasn't really done much at all in this preseason. Mario Williams had a nice game, 2 catches, 46 yards, and a touchdown. So definitely a bit of a position battle, I think, for wide receiver 5 and 6. I thought Mumpfield was a lock. I know Devontae Adams has raved about him in practice, but I don't know. Mumpfield with 2 catches for 12 yards, and he did have that touchdown early on in the game, but not really sealing his deal as that wide receiver 5 or 6 right now for this Rams team. And the play of the game was Bennett's 40-yard bomb to Brennan Presley at the end of the 4th quarter to set up the game-winning touchdown. That was on 4th and 10 too, only adding to the dramatics. Yes, as I said, the way this game ended was I thought Bennett fumbled it on 3rd and 10 and around midfield, But no, they rule it an incomplete pass, and then Brennan Presley jumps up in between everyone at 5'8" and catches that ball. It was a great catch, too. Great body control on the way down. Just something again, that's a part of that catch was luck. We do have to be honest. No disrespect to Brennan Presley, but part of that was definitely right place, the right time. But still, great football instincts to go up, get that ball. Really, really great plays there. An honorable mention does go to Bennett's 38-yard dot to Mario Williams for a touchdown. This was one of the best throws you'll see all preseason long, Rams or not. Bennett put it right on the receiver's numbers down the seam. Bennett fitted in between two defenders and showed excellent accuracy as well as impressive arm strength. Something he's not always known for. Yes, that was also a great ball to Mario Williams. And now what's next? The Rams will regroup on Monday and return to practice as they prepare for their final preseason game. As I mentioned, that will be against the Cleveland Browns next Saturday. An early 10 a.m. PT PST kickoff on the road in Cleveland, so an afternoon game there in Cleveland. It will be the last chance for players to prove themselves before final cuts. So it's an important matchup even though it won't affect the Rams' regular season record. Oh, 100%. It's very important for these players to have these moments, especially for a guy like Dolak, if Philly Lampkin is healthy, Darion Kendrick, the cornerback battle, which no one really stood out. I mean, Cam Lampkin made some nice plays, but it wasn't like a standout game. Sean Jolly, Josh Wallace was great in week 1 of the preseason, but didn't really do too much. Sean Jolly looked a little better. But again, Tanner Ingle at safety was hitting hard. I forget who actually hit Cam Johnson, but he was hitting hard, hitting legal, knocking the ball away. He was making some nice plays in that safety room. Val Carcel was not nearly as good this week, and he actually got a penalty in this one as well. So that defensive back room, definitely not so much on the safety side, but on the corner side, it looks like Emmanuel Forbes is CB4 based on what we've heard in practice, and he did not play in this game. So CB5 between Darion Kendrick and I think Josh Wallace and Cam Lampkin are the only other guys who can make this roster. And also, just a little fun fact here from Ramblin' Fan. Stetson Bennett is now 4-0 in his last 4 preseason games. 3 of those games were won by a game-winning touchdown pass thrown as time was running out. The mailman delivers. Had to include the little gif or gif there on the bottom. Yeah, that is something really interesting that I did not expect to see, that Bennett right now, 4-0 in his last 4 preseason games. Great to see. But 3 of them won by last-second game-winning touchdown passes as time was running out. That is just awesome. Like this video right now for clutch Stetson Bennett. And a quick Stafford update. Aubrey Pleasant was asked post-game about this, and according to Sarah Barshop, a Rams insider, he said that he will defer to McVay for an update when it comes to Monday. So we do not know how today's workout went exactly. But the main takeaway for me from this game was Dejuan Johnson as well. Had a lot of pressures getting into the backfield quite a bit. The third-year defender kind of on the border right now as well. Didn't have a great week 1, but had an amazing week 2, as well as Brendan Jackson putting himself back in that outside linebacker debate. Because it looked like Keir Thomas was just going to get the job, but I think Nick Hampton's probably the odd man out right now as we head into week 3. And that receiver room, again, Britton Covey, I think, is out. Konota Muntfeld, not a guarantee. Xavier Smith, in my opinion, locked up a roster spot. So I think it's between Konota Muntfeld. Mario Williams, I think, is still in there, my guy. And Brennan Presley with 2 great preseason games right now. So leave in the comments down below, is there really a competition for wide receiver 5? Or wide receiver 6, I should say, because I think Xavier Smith moved up to wide receiver 5 with Konota Muntfeld, or am I overdoing this? Leave a comment down below right now. And that is all for this episode of Rams Digest. Thank you very much for watching as always. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. We are on the road to 5K, so if you want to be part of the journey, hit that button. And turn on that notification bell. Click all so you get notified and never miss whenever we upload our daily new Rams Digest videos covering all things Rams. Leave a like on this video right now for the Rams taking that dub in preseason week 2 over the Chargers, the Battle of LA, 23-22. And comment down below, who was a player that stood out to you that maybe I did not mention? And comment down below your thoughts on the wide receiver 6 battle, because I think it's really heating up as we head into the end of preseason work here for the Rams. I've been your host, Joshua Finehirsh, as always. Thank you very much for watching another episode of Rams Digest. I'll see you soon for another one. I hope you enjoyed, and have a great rest of your day.